So let's start with the important part. All this stuff, to do its job properly, has to disappear. You have to stop thinking about what amplifier am I listening to, what speakers am I listening to, what's the source components. Who cares? Does it transport you to that musical realm where you're enjoying what you're listening to? Like I saw all of you right now. You all stopped and you listened. There wasn't a peep in this entire room. We did what we came here to do. We brought you to a musical experience. This is the aspirational system. This is where we target. And when I say we, it's myself, it's Anthony, it's Adrian. This is where we target to be able to bring you to.
I met Val and his lovely wife in 2019 at the Rocky Mountain show. I walked in, I didn't know who they were. All I knew was this big, huge room, and there were speakers in segmented spaces, and they sounded unbelievable. They were transparent as transparent could be, just like an electrostatic, but with meat and power, which unfortunately electrostatics generally don't. And I said, who are you guys? We're Canadians, right? And I said, great, come see me after the show. And then of course, COVID hit, didn't see them. Eventually we got together, and now I'm very proud to say we are a dealer, but not just a dealer, we are friends. But to underline, I am proud to say that we have representation of not just a Canadian product, but one of truly the finest speakers that you can buy in the world. And it's not just my opinion. If you've been following any online magazines, reports, reviews, show reports, you will see that the praises are literally just slung at the company.
But what we're really doing is listening to music. We're trying to bring the reason we do this is to try and bring the artists into our own rooms. The rest of this is a means. But the second we have to look at the equipment and say, that might not be right, or that's the problem, or that sounds great and this doesn't sound great, we've just failed you. Because realistically, it should all be about the artist and about the music and about your musical enjoyment. The rest of it is just a vessel to get us. What we're listening to here, these are the Acora VRC loudspeakers. They retail in Canada $295,000. They are a pair of 12-inch bass drivers, a pair of 5-inch mid-range drivers, 4 3/4 actually, and a 1 1/4-inch beryllium dome tweeter. In a 430-pound granite cabinet with absolutely zero bracing. Why is that important? Because these drivers need volume in order to get to the 18 hertz flat that these speakers get to. Generally speaking, to get to that sort of volume, or to get to that sort of frequency, in most conventional speakers with all the bracing in them, the speaker would be almost twice the size. That causes other issues besides just size, price, transportation costs, placement costs. It causes diffraction issues and other things that we're able to avoid in these actual speakers because we can use all the volume and not be fighting with it. The second thing bracing does inside of any speaker is it doesn't matter whether the speaker is made out of granite, paper, cardboard, carbon fiber, any material you want to talk about. The weakest part of any speaker cabinet is the speaker itself as a driver. It's either a paper cone or a ceramic cone or whatever cone it is, which is ultra light and thin. It actually is generating the vibrations, but it also has to stop the vibrations which are now bouncing off the back of the cabinet and back and front. By not having bracing, we allow the energy from the drivers to actually be mitigated into the top of the cabinet, which is why we slope the back. And that's where the energy gets absorbed, so it doesn't come back through the drivers themselves. The mid-range drivers are in their own specially designed and printed carbon fiber enclosure in order to take away the back wave. It's what makes the speaker so fast. We've given that vibrational energy somewhere to bounce off of. It comes straight back through the front of the driver, which is the last thing we actually want. Which is why speakers start to sound slow and muddy and so on and so forth. You're actually fighting the engine that is actually producing the sound. They are flat pretty much from 18 hertz to about 50,000, plus or minus 2 dBs. Without subwoofers, without anything else, 230 watts a channel or 220 watts a channel, whatever it was. What makes that possible is a speaker that's 95 dB efficient, that's effectively transferring air or vibration to the air properly. It gives us more dynamics, it gives us more output. There is a sub-enclosure for the mid-range units themselves. The tweeter, no. The tweeters, the maximum amount of volume has been used for the bass drivers, which is how we get down 18 hertz in this size of a cabinet.
Okay.
Generally speaking, to get down to those sort of frequencies, you're into cabinets that are almost 30-40% bigger because you have internal bracing that has to stiffen the cabinet. Otherwise, all you hear is cabinet.
Okay.
We have the beauty, because it is a granite cabinet, that we don't have to stiffen the cabinet. It's as stiff as it's going to get. Bracing is absolutely ineffective. The other thing is the weakest part of any cabinet, doesn't matter whether it's made out of granite, titanium, whatever material we're going to make it out of, the weakest part of any cabinet is actually the driver itself. It is a paper cone or a polypropylene cone or aluminum or textring, but it's a very, very thin diaphragm. So any sound that emanates backwards from the driver, it's going to bounce inside, and it's going to want to escape right back through the front part of that driver. By putting any type of bracing, you're literally putting two baffles above it to let somewhere bounce off and throw it right back through the driver. What we do in the speakers is we slope the baffles so that the energy from the back of the drivers gets driven up into the cabinet, gets absorbed in the top of the cabinet, and doesn't come back through the bass drivers. Obviously, it's not perfect, but a lot of it is mitigated. Not having the bracing in there, though, is what makes this even a possibility. If we had bracing in there, there's no point. It's going to bounce right back through.
Gryphon did not get the traction in North America that it did in Asia. If you go, the way I always like to put it is, if you go to Asia, Gryphon isn't loved, it isn't respected, it's worshipped. What's the difference between Asia and America here? Is it because they listen different, they listen to different kinds? No, it's exactly the same. The problem is that Gryphon never got the right kind of distributor in the United States, someone who treated it with the love and respect that it deserved to be treated with.
Almost right off the bat, they came up with some of the most interesting looking products which caught the eye and then caught the ear when you heard it. And I remember falling in love very quickly. I was back then getting these wonderful Asian magazines that were as thick as a Bible, and incredible photography. It was literally audio porn, just unbelievable. And they more than almost any other continent, fell in love with Gryphon first, right? Am I wrong?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely took to the line, and then we had all these clients from Asia going, do you know about Gryphon? And that's how I found out about Gryphon. And of course, internet happened. I would look up the internet and eventually started to get all kinds of trades and fell in love and saw why people love Gryphon.
You've seen, I'm sure you've all seen, I'm guessing everyone here reads magazines, whether they're online or in print. You've seen a string of reviews, all of which say best, best, best. And you know, just like Val said, we're not paying for these reviews. These are honest opinions. One thing I'll say is that I actually, look, that amplifier is $105,000 US. That's our top of the line. I would say it's actually a great deal. If you look at some of the other products out there that are major statement products, this is actually a lot less money. And that amplifier, if you were to buy amplifiers by the pound, like salami or something, that's 453 pounds unboxed. And every part in there is the best. We've seen them made. The guy who founded the company, Flemming Rasmussen, most of you have probably heard of Flemming. He is not an electronics designer, never was. He's a fashion designer. So right up until the 333, the new integrated, which is in the next room, which is the most recent product we introduced, he has done the industrial design for every one of these products. The idea being that at this level, they have to sound great, they should also be beautiful. If you look at the speakers that Val has next door, they're absolutely gorgeous. He actually offers that pair of speakers in simpler finishes for less money. You know, if anyone here has bought a Porsche or a Ferrari, they offer basic finishes, right? Red, white, and black. And if you want an upmarket finish, you can pay more for them. And a lot of people do. I would. And the speakers he has next door, I'm just trying to envision having them in my living room. But everything with Gryphon is designed from the very first product, which was called the head amp. It was a phono preamp in 1985. Everything is designed to be pleasing to the eye as well as the ear. One of the things about Gryphon over the years is they're maybe the only company that does every product, that designs and manufactures every component in the audio playback chain at a high level. And I'll explain. There are companies that make equipment racks that, are some, aluminum angle irons with, holding up pieces of particle board. Well, they make racks, but it's nothing I would want to put any ultra high level product on. We make racks called Standard, extremely high end and extremely high performance and not crazy expensive. We make our own cables. We don't make our own cables because we want to make our own cables. We make our own cables because we want to keep a few electronic parameters controlled. Do you need to use our cables? No, you can use, they sell Chiarella and Nordos at Audio Excellence. They're both great products with Gryphon. You might get a little better performance for a little less money with our cables, but we do make everything. Now did anyone see the show reports from Munich? We, with the help of Brinkmann Audio, just came out with a turntable called Apollo. We came out with a cartridge, which we designed in cooperation with Audiofeset. This is our Commander preamp, 2 chassis, 120-pound power supply. We just came out with a phono preamp that looks exactly the same. From the audio side, we do have a designer. His name is Tom Muller. He's designed every product for more than 25 years. He's a shy guy and he stays in the background. And before he left the company, I asked Fleming, why don't you ever talk about Tom? And he goes, well, if I talked about Tom, he'd get a swell head and I'd have to pay him more money. But the guy is brilliant. He started on the pro side and he has an obsession with making things reliable as well as good sounding. So we have not had an Apex fail. We've sold about 60, some stereo, some mono, mostly stereo in North America. We have not had one fail. We've had a couple over here. They had one that they thought there was something wrong with, there wasn't. According to Adrian, everything that happens in this store breaks. It'll be the first one in the country that breaks, but it didn't break. Something else I would point out, if you buy a piece of Gryphon, let's say you buy an Apex, from serial number 1 till the last piece we make, everything inside will be the same. They do not make ongoing changes in the product. If they have to make an ongoing change, they change the model number. For longevity, for resale value, for customer peace of mind, it's a big deal. The most successful product in Gryphon history was the Diablo 300. It was a $16,000 to $17,000 integrated amplifier. You could put a DAC or a phono board in it, one or the other. A lot of people considered it the world's finest integrated amplifier. It wasn't nearly the most expensive. Over the course of its life, we sold just shy of 4,000. Not in the United States, worldwide. It was in production for a little less than 9 years. Almost immediately, Tom Muller, who I mentioned before, started coming out with a successor to it, started working on it. So the unit you see next door, the 333, is $24,990 plus boards, and you can put either or both phono and a DAC in it. The boards have been completely redone. There is nothing earth-shattering in terms of changes from the 300 to the 333. It's a whole bunch of little changes that conspire to make it a much better integrated amplifier, immediately noticeable. And one of the things I'm going to say, and then the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to turn it over to Val, is in terms of system building, that amplifier is so good. The 333 is so good that you could actually design a system and put more money into the speakers and less money into the electronics and wind up with a better system that takes up less room in your house and gives you a speaker that is a step above what you would have gotten if you had looked at a separate preamp and power amp. Are preamp and power amps better? Yes, they are absolutely better. But that 333 is so good, it's mind-boggling.